Okay, you're live.
Hey, everybody. Wasn't that fun, that countdown? I loved it. Thank you so much there's 7,000 of you here right now. I'm like blown away. I am Colette Baron-Reid, if you kind of signed on and didn't know why you were here. We're doing a webinar today about how to prosper using Oracle cards. So see this deck right here? This is called Wisdom of the Oracle. Now this is going to be your new best friend. If you're on a computer and you want to open up a new tab, you can go to my website at ColetteBaronReid.com and you can bring up the app that will allow you to use my decks for free. If you're on a phone, you can't do that. But if you're on a computer, you can. So you can follow along with the webinar and you can pull your own cards. Now, I'm super excited to be here today, and it's a real privilege, by the way, too. You're going to notice I'm going to look at my computer every once in a while, too, to make sure I stay on track, because those of you who know me know I get all excited and I go round and round. So I want to make sure I stay on track. So, okay, we can do a poll? Okay, sorry. My husband is our moderator, making sure that I stay on track. We're going to do a poll right now. And I want to see how many of you are brand new, how many of you are intermediate, and then how many of you have a pretty familiar understanding of Oracle cards or my cards. And while we're waiting, I have to show you something. Okay, so 7,000 of you signed on and 2,000 of you. This is a quarter of the amount of questions that came in for this webinar. And that's not even including what you guys are going to ask me now. So let me just explain what I learned about your questions. And I have highlighted some of them, and then we're going to take a bunch of live ones, because the second half of this webinar today, you're going to be interacting with me, and I'm going to be answering your questions. So next month, as a result of reading all these questions, we've decided to put on a very special webinar again, only this time it is a really good essential 101 to Oracle cards. Many of you are asking this, well, tons of you thousands are asking the exact same question. So next month on May 13th, it's the 13th, right, Mark? May 13th, we're going to come right back again, all of us, and we're going to do a really in-depth hour webinar on everything you need to know about Oracle cards, what makes them different, what makes mine different, how they work, and how they're different from tarot cards. So you'll walk away and be able to answer anybody's question about what the heck you're doing with the cards. Is the poll ready? Okay, yeah. So we have the poll. What's the poll?
They should all be able to see it right now.
You should be able to see the poll yourselves. It's a new system that we're using. It's kind of exciting.
Oh, yeah. Newbies at 36%.
36% newbies. That's 36%. And then
35 intermediate.
35
28%.
Okay, familiar. 28% very familiar. So here's what I want to say to you, very familiar people. What you're going to learn in these webinars from me are going to help you go over things that you may know already, but you need to reframe them for yourself or get a better foundation for yourself. For the intermediates, you're going to learn new things. And for the newbies, well, next month for sure, you got to come back, May 13th. But today, you're going to understand why we use them and basically what these are and why and how to prepare yourself to use Oracle cards as a way for you to connect with the subject of prosperity. So let me see. I think, should we get my first slide going? Okay. We're going to have. So let me give you a brief rundown of what are Oracle cards, especially for some of you who are brand new and don't know what they are or why you're even here. Oracle cards are not all created equal. Let's start there. Some are for daily card picks, like a hug from the universe. You could feel like that. Like my card deck, Postcards from Spirit. That deck is supposed to be read just once a day with one card. And like Louise Hay's affirmation cards. You might look at Chris Carr's cards or Gabby Bernstein's. These are the same kind of cards. One card, nice thought for the day, hug from the universe. Now, the rest of my cards that I create are what's called divination systems. Now, a divination system or an Oracle card deck created for divination means that it's a tool to open your connection to the universe and enable an intimate, interactive, very personal dialogue with the universe. And that universe is alive, aware, and conscious, and aware of you and me. And you can call the universe spirit, the divine source, the great intelligence, whatever you want. But know that we are talking about a universe that is conscious and that loves us and has our best interest at heart. Okay, now with oracle cards, you get a direct dialogue with the divine, like direct, ET phone home right away. When you work with the cards, it's instant. Now, what are oracle cards like? Well, they're multifaceted. They're like a mirror, a really, really accurate GPS, a telephone, and a language with a vocabulary of symbols that populate the cards. In other words, they're symbols on each card that actually enable this really important conversation. Cool, huh? Anyway, oracle cards will always reflect the truth, every time, whether you like it or not. You gain clarity, instant insight, guidance, and course correction if you need it, as well as seeing the road you are on and what is possible in the future. We are looking at this as a prescription rather than prediction, but we can see how things could play out. Oracle cards can also be used for any subject. Doesn't that sound great? Yes, indeedy. So now we're going to look at the 5 steps for working with oracle cards to support you in the subject of prosperity. Here are the 5 steps to working with oracle cards for prosperity. Step 1, a connected mindset and redefining prosperity. Step 2, the universe is your partner. Step 3, setting your intention. Step 4, connecting to the universe. And step 5, working with the cards. Let's look at step 1, a connected mindset. We know that our 5 senses and reasoning mind limit our ability to see beyond their scope. So if we only paid attention to the world through the lens of our 5 senses and intellect, we would actually see everything as disconnected all the time. And there'd be no space for us to feel that there's anything in the invisible parts of the world. But every single human being on this planet has a 6th sense, I like to call the 1st sense, that enables us to tune into this vast, powerful, abundant, amazing, invisible world. And that's where all the action is. So we know this intimately already. This isn't new for you or I. That's probably why you came here. We know that there is more. We all connect to this invisible world and its influence on the material world through something called synchronicity or meaningful coincidences. That could have just brought you to this webinar even. So we know that something goes on that has very little to do with how the pieces of the material world move around like mechanics. That's just not how it all works. A holistic or a whole view of the world includes the invisible and the visible. And that's where oracle cards come in. They are the bridge between those two things. Now, let's talk a little bit more about you, because if you think about your life, you actually can track all this already to prove to yourself that the world is connected. So when you come into working with oracle cards with a connected mindset, it's because you reminded yourself like, oh yeah, I didn't do anything for that to happen. All those coincidences that you just thought like, that's weird, that's freaky, that's amazing. Wow, all of those things that have happened to you since you were born are evidence of the invisible world working in our favor and for our benefit all the time. So let's move on to the next one. How do we redefine prosperity then? Since we know that we live in a connected universe, or at least that's how we're going to approach this. Everything is connected, the invisible and the visible. Everything is moving all the time because it's energy. So what about what we think about prosperity? So every single one of us have been taught that prosperity represents something that we earn, something that we go after through ambition. It's relative to money for a lot of people, status, prestige, how many cars you have in the driveway, what the status of your job is. We can go how even what you look like. There's a whole list of things that we could look at that society would define as prosperity, but I don't want you to go there. What I want to show you is a metaphysical, a much greater way to define prosperity for yourself so that you can get the most out of it when you work with oracle cards. So everybody is taught to be ambitious and to go after what we think we want. Everybody is taught that everything is linear and that we go after a destination. When we arrive somewhere, I'll be happy when I get this. I'll be happy when I go there. When I lose 20 pounds, I'll feel good. When I meet that guy, I'll be happy. When I get that job, I'll have made it. All of those things are thing or destination based, and that's completely not how the universe works at all. So remember, a lot of energy goes into this, and the message we're actually sending out to the universe is, I don't have it, therefore I need to work hard to go get it. But the real crux there is, I don't have it, which means lack. So the first step to true prosperity is to discover what those things mean to you. Why do you want to manifest those things? What experience do you hope they will give you? Dial it down, sit down with yourself, and really define and redefine what this all means to you. Instead of looking at the goal, look at the experience that you'd like the goal to give you. So it all boils down to the essence of what you desire, not the form. It has nothing to do with the car you think you want. It has to do with how you want to feel because you got the car. Now, let's take another step. What if you track your prosperity to who it could serve? Let's look at prosperity as a living energy. In other words, instead of wanting to be a successful coach or author, what if you consider how many people could be helped by your experience, strength, and hope, and how you share that with other people? What if, instead of being, having a goal of being a really successful business owner, that you imagine how your prosperity and success could help your employees have more experience and success, and how their kids would prosper, and where all of that could go? How many people could you influence in a positive way if that prosperity were yours? So this is how we have to see things. In the connected universe, it's not you separate, hoarding from other people or accumulating things and being over there, which we see all the time right now. True prosperity is about the flow. It's always about the generosity of flow and circulation, because prosperity is energy and money is energy too. So let's just briefly look at money. So if you look at money as something you accumulate that is tangible, you're going to see it again through that lens of separation. If you look at it at what it is, the law of money states that money is energy that needs to circulate, that supports an intention. That's exactly what it is. So if you look at that and then you see where the desired prosperity is going to take you, money comes a lot easier for you. And prosperity is not only about money. Money is the smallest part of it. And a lot of people tend to make it way bigger than it should be. So let's move on. Redefine prosperity and really get the clarity and the clarity of the energy, and you will be miles ahead of where you actually hoped you'd be. So here we are at step 2, and we're exploring how the universe is your partner. Now I'm going to read a few statements, and I really want you to let them sink in. The first one, I am not alone. I don't do this by myself. Think about that. Next, I am a spark of the universe, which is in me and everywhere too. Let that one sink in. Next, the universe is aware and conscious and is aware of you and of me. See how that could be a partnership. We're not alone. The universe made us. It's in us. It's part of us. And it wants us to experience life. Mythologist Joseph Campbell said, if you take one step towards the gods, they will take 10 steps towards you. Now let's break that down a little bit. So the first step is what we do. It's when we set our intention, we connect to the universe, we get really clear in our prosperity, we've redefined it, we know that we are asking for help and guidance to create or co-create, because we're in a partnership, a better life for ourselves. Our part is the dreaming, the imagining, the intending, and then doing something, taking a step. Then the universe's part now ignites 3 laws. 1, the law of attraction. Because if you are holding space for this thing that you are creating, that's prosperity that you desire, and you are tuned into that, the law of attraction states that what you vibrate at is going to show up at some point in the outer world. The second one is the law of abundance, which states that everything is possible everywhere all the time. Why? Because everything is abundant. The universe is abundant. And then the law of connection that states that we are connected to everything and everyone. And so synchronicity is how all of this starts to work. All the little puzzle pieces get moved around for us, seemingly without any cause by us. And that's the fun part. So let's come back to this word synchronicity again. It's all about signs and omens. You've seen them. You know when you want something and you're really clear about that you're in alignment with it, and all of a sudden the billboard goes by you and there's the name of the person that you're thinking of, or the phone rings and it's an old friend that you haven't spoken to in 10 years that is giving you that very information that you've been thinking about. You've experienced this tons and tons of times. But what if you don't really understand the signs and the omens that come? Isn't it better that you have a box and you have a set of cards where you can consciously ignite this relationship and the power of synchronicity to get your answers right here and right now, instead of having to leave the house to go look around and see what's happening? So this is why Oracle cards are so powerful. They are powerful, powerful, powerful prosperity tools, because they can help you stay in alignment, give you the information you need, give you instant insight, show a mirror to you to tell you what energy you're in, and then tell you what your next right action needs to be in order to stay in alignment with the prosperity that you're seeking to co-create. It's amazing. You don't have to go far when you've got them in your hand. Now, remember, you do your part. Connect to the universe, use your cards, set your intention, and then you'll remember the partner has to do the rest. The universe has to take those 10 steps towards you. You have to let it. And that means you have to have faith and believe that this is how our partnership with the universe actually works. Step 3, setting your intention. So, intention gets confused a lot with something called ambition. Focused intention is not ambition. Ambition is linear and driven by the lack of something. It's defined by the lack of something and the drive to go get it. It's a very, very different feeling. Intention is having something in advance. It's the experience of having something in advance. So when you are looking to intend a form of prosperity for yourself, it's not the form that counts, it's how you want to feel when it happens. Can you see yourself happy, joyous, free, meaningful? Can you feel productive? Look, whatever the list is that you want to feel, your desired feelings are more important than the outcome, because that's when the universe gets to play its part and decide which is the best match for your feelings, because it actually might be different than what you think it's going to be. And pretty much most of the time, it is. Now, let's talk a little bit more about how to set an intention. Now, remember that intention is an acknowledgement that the potential of what you desire exists somewhere in the universe. It is in the invisible essence of the universe. And remember, we talked about the invisible world. Now, we may not be able to see the result of our desired intention in front of us right away, but we know it's somewhere. And if it hasn't shown up in form yet, it exists without a form in the invisible. So essence before form. Now, here is the real amazing part. So you have to employ imagination to connect to the feeling first. And then when you have the experience in your imagination, it's like you rehearse it, then you choose to call that into form. So let me just go through that again. So you rehearse the having of it in your intention. Ah, I have this now. And you rehearse it just like you're acting. And you imagine that is true. And you can even smell it or taste it or really sit there with that. And what would it feel like to experience this? Then the abracadabra is be grateful before you receive the experience, before you even go anywhere near it. You might be looking at the conditions in your world and you see nothing but lack. But the truth is that the intention that you have to experience prosperity is something you can be grateful for well in advance. It's a humbling thing when you actually don't see it right away, but that you, with faith, that you maintain this sense of great gratitude in advance, which ignites the law of praise. And the law of praise states whatever we praise in advance will multiply. So there's another abracadabra for making this work. Now, you have to name it and claim it, and then you must surrender it. And that's when the oracle cards come in. So you've surrendered the form to your partnership. You're going to let the universe take care of you at this stage. You aren't going to be able to know all the different steps that you have to take. Not in your mind, you won't, not right away. It's not going to download from the sky. But your oracle cards can teach you what the next right action is, so that you stay in alignment with the experience that you have claimed now through your intention. And that's how the cards will be your most amazing GPS. They'll show you where you are, they'll show you where you've been, where you're likely heading, and they'll help you course correct if you're going off track at all. So that's where oracle cards at this stage come in to play in a way that is very, very powerful. Now let's move on to step 4, which is all about connecting to the universe. Prayer and meditation are crucial when you decide that you want to work with oracle cards. Remember I said that oracle cards are the key to open your connection to the universe and open up the direct, intimate dialogue with that universe for your highest good. So when you approach oracle cards, you want to make it a sacred and special thing. You don't want to just pull your cards out from your purse willy-nilly and just do it. You want to clear your mind. You want to allow yourself to be in that sacred place. You have prayed, which means you've communed with the universe. Prayer is not a prayer where you say that, oh, the universe that is outside of me, give me what I want. It's the acknowledgement that you are a spark of that universe and that you are here to serve the universe, and that we say, thy will be done through me. That's a really powerful statement. Just think about that. Thy will, the universe's will, be done through me. So you're saying that I need the universe's power to serve, and I'm humble. So you humble yourself. Now, meditation is really important because it helps still the monkey mind. We have a very busy head. I'm sure if you're watching this, you agree with me that some days you just got monkeys eating bananas in your head, screaming at each other. Or you've got a ticker tape going, tak, 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 tak. And we want to allow the mind to be settled down and be empty so that we can receive information from the universe. Because when it's too busy and you got too many monkeys, the universe might have sent you an apple and somebody else ate it. So we want to get very, very clear. And you only need 10 minutes of meditation. That if you're like worried and you've never done it before, you're like, oh, I can't meditate, I'm too busy. I have so many meditations on my website, you have to go look. But truthfully, it's just 10 minutes. That's all you need. Make the relationship with your cards a sacred thing. After all, you're going to have this very important conversation that is interactive with the universe that cares about you. So that's why I like to say prayer and meditation are two very important tools to connect to the universe as well as to connect to the cards, because the cards are a reflection of not just you, but also of the universe and what it wants to talk to you about. And once you get a chance to get to know the cards a little better over time, you're going to see that relationship ignite. And it's the most uncanny thing you will ever experience. But it takes some time. Now, one of the other things is that you need to ask for help to stay in alignment. And that's why we work with oracle cards, because we don't always know. Our ego gets in the way. We have all our past ideas about life, our conditioning. We start to see the world as separate, and all kinds of gobbledygook gets into our heads. And so using oracle cards help us keep that connection to the universe alive and awake, and reminding us that everything is connected, that we count, that life has meaning, and that we can find out instantly what kind of insight we need to make the next right action to stay in alignment with our prosperity. Because after all, that's the tool that we have right here in my hands. Now, I just want to wrap up the connecting piece here. So prayer and meditation, it's that simple. I wish it was more complicated, but it isn't. There's nothing special that you have to do. You don't have to do a little dance outside in the backyard or anything like that. But you need to acknowledge that you are part of the universe is inside you, that you are going to have a sacred conversation that really means something, and that you are viewing your prosperity as a service to the world. And then, now we're talking. So, now we're at step 5, our final step in using oracle cards for prosperity. And of course, we have to start using the cards. The very best deck that I have created for this very purpose is called Wisdom of the Oracle. And here's the booklet. It's very fat. I wrote a lot in this booklet. And in the guidebook, in every card is a section that will answer a question on prosperity. So if you are going to use an oracle card system or oracle card deck that's going to help you get in alignment with your prosperity, this is the deck that I suggest. It's also the deck that I use to teach in oracle school. So when people sign up for oracle school and they come in, this is the deck that they get to know. It's the most extensive, it has the most amount of meanings in it, and it's very, very rich, very powerful, and very chatty, which is what we want. We want a chatty universe with chatty oracle cards. So when you learn a deck and really get to know that deck, over time, it goes really, really fast where you get into that prosperity alignment. The cards never lie, but it takes a little bit sometimes in the beginning for you to really percolate on what the card means to you, and they start becoming very personal over a period of time. So if you're willing to actually put the time in and get to know the deck, you'll be amazed at how miraculous it is that the deck seems to know you very intimately and can speak to very, very personal things in a very accurate way. And that's what this deck will do if you choose to use it. Now, you can go to my website. That's ColetteBaron-Reid.com/pick to try these cards out for free. You just go to the website, and I have a PDF there. Now, you might have already downloaded already, but if you haven't yet, it will show you how to ask a question of the oracle cards correctly every time. The best way to ask a question, because believe it or not, the biggest issue that people have is how to ask the right question. It's not the answers, and it's not the cards, it's the question. Because you can get very convoluted answers if you ask a convoluted question. And oracle cards should not answer yes or no or be used to predict the future that's far down the road. They are all about being in motion. Where am I now? What do I need to do to stay in alignment with my highest good? Where am I heading? You can see the flow of events when you pick a card and you use this specific deck. Now, if you want to take a deep dive into this, you can go to my website and download the PDF, as I said, and you can also sign up for the wait list for Oracle School, which happens in the fall. And we will send you a mini lesson all related to this every single week to your inbox. But let's go back to using the cards now. So when you get, very simple, when you get an upright card, you read the prosperity message in the booklet or on the website or in the app, because we have an app too. If you get an upside down card, well, that's like getting an extra hug from the universe. It's trying to get you to course correct, saying like, "Ooh, don't fall in the hole." So that's a good thing. I'm honest to God. If you get an upside down card, always look at it as an excellent thing, because you're getting extra help from the universe that's trying to keep you on track, in alignment, and just letting you know where sometimes you might have a blind spot. So oracle cards, upright, prosperity message, reverse cards, that means it's a protection message, and that's the one that you read. And eventually you'll start to see the story that you're creating, and you'll start to see the parts of yourself that you actually have to let go of in order to have and experience the life that you desire. Who do you need to become? Now, I'm going to give you the gift of the ultimate question around prosperity. And if you take a card once a day, just one card from this oracle card deck, once a day, and ask this question, you'll be shocked in a while, after a couple of months, just how much one card will shift everything in your life. And this is the question, and you'll get a PDF. It's on the PDF. The ultimate question is this: what do I need to know today to stay in alignment with my prosperity? I'll repeat that. What do I need to know today to stay in alignment with my prosperity? I'm going to pick a card for everybody right now, just to close up, and then we'll move on to our Q&A. So I'm going to pick the card. I'm going to say, what do we all need to know, all of us right now? That's something that would affect every single person in the group. Ooh. So it's never-ending story. Now, I'm going to tell you what that means. The never-ending story means that we have to let go our poverty consciousness. I mean, we couldn't have got a more perfect card. We have to be willing to let go an old story that we have around prosperity, or maybe we lack self-worth around that. Like, ask yourself, are you worthy of the dream that you're trying to dream? And if the answer is no, it means you just need to work a little bit harder on letting those stories go, because they're just stories. What new story do you want to tell? And that is the never-ending story in this deck. I'm not surprised we got that, because it really is about a commitment on all our parts. It's time for us to choose a new story. Use oracle cards as your best friend to help you get on the prosperous path and manifest the things that you know will bring beauty and joy to the rest of the world. Before we go to the Q&A, I always forget this. Let's recap what we just talked about today. So we went through 5 steps. We talked about the importance of a connected mindset, about seeing the world as a whole, not just the visible things that you see with your 5 senses, your experience, and your intellect, but also the invisible world makes up a big, giant whole. Well, not a whole, but you understand, whole with W-H-O-L-E. Then we talked about redefining prosperity, that it's not a goal that you're seeking after. It's actually an experience that you can share with others. And that if you track your prosperity into the world, you will get so much more out of this experience, because the universe is going to be that much more excited to give you what you desire. Now, we talked also about the universe being your partner. We don't do this alone. In fact, the universe is aware of us, conscious of us. We're its baby. I mean, it made us, it's inside us. And so when we ignite our intentions and our desires, the universe pays attention to us. We do our part and it does its part. Then we talked about the importance of setting an intention. We're not just going to go convoluted, I want everything in the world. No, we want to set an intention. We want to know the difference between ambition and intention. Intention is having something in advance and being super grateful for it. We intend to have an experience as opposed to going after something through ambition. We don't compete. We experience and we receive. Now we talk about connecting to the universe through prayer and meditation, and of course connecting to the cards in a way that's sacred and profound. Then we talked about working with the cards, and at the end I got the never-ending story, which is all about moving past poverty consciousness, which I thought was pretty apropos, given that this is really about prosperity, and all of us have some stories from our past that need to go if we're going to make up a new story about the prosperous universe that is connected and brimming with hope and potential. Well, there you go. Now we're going to do the Q&A. Now it's time for the Q&A. So for the next half of this webinar, I'm going to be teaching through your questions. But I kind of had this real sense that I'm not done doing cards. So what I want to do is choose 3 more cards to answer a question, this very specific question, for every single person here that's on this webinar, including me. What do we need to know about working with oracle cards when it comes to the subject of purpose and prosperity? Because a lot of your questions that you had sent in before the webinar had to do with purpose. So I just chose 3 cards, and I got not for you in the protection position. I'm going to explain all this in a second, because I'm teaching, by showing you how to do this, I'm teaching you at the same time. The second card was peace, and the third card was Treasure Island. You couldn't get better cards for this. So let me explain. So the anchor card is always the first card, because people did ask, how do I tell a story with all the cards? Even some of the professionals in here might get a lot of use from this too, not just the newbies. So not for you is what I call our anchor card. So it's the first card that tells a story. And not for you in protection tells us not to chase after the form of our prosperity. And I said that earlier anyway, but this really hammers it home. That if a door doesn't open, if you feel like you're chasing something, if you're too obsessive about wanting something, if your ambition has gone crazy, or if you start thinking you're not worthy of it, or you start to judge it or other people, then you've slid into this kind of off lane and you want to get back on track. And so working with oracle cards around prosperity will help us prevent that. And by the way, again, I mentioned this earlier, we're all conditioned to see the world very specifically through the lens of scarcity and disconnection. We have to unlearn all that every single day we wake up. Our 5 senses tell us that we're separate from everything. Our intellect tells us that if it's not reasonable and logical, it doesn't make sense. But our intuition, which is what this is all about, reminds us that the invisible world is where all the action is. So Working with oracle cards helps us stay out of this. So this is the first thing we have to remember. And by the way, it doesn't hurt us to sit down and really sit down with a piece of pen and a paper and journal. Like, okay, what am I attached to and why? What am I trying to get for my life? Now, here's the other thing that my favorite thing to teach people about is about purpose, because everybody thinks they have to go find their purpose. No, your purpose is already looking for you. It's trying to find you. You just need to get yourself out of the way, your attachments, your ambition, your pushy feelings, and settle into peace. And peace, that peaceful sense of trust. My husband just put his finger. I'm just waiting to get some questions in, but I think it's just really important that, because there's a third card too, Mark. So we're talking about not for you. Now we're talking about peace. So the peace card tells us that when we are wearing the world loosely, and that means when we're not attached to the outcome, and that's kind of hard. I know it's the dance. It's a dance. It's a tension between, I want this to happen. I want this prosperity. I'm choosing this for myself. I'm intending this. That's where we want to be, is I'm intending this, to I'm going to let it go and let spirit, or let the conscious universe decide the form. And I'm a perfect example of this. Like, this career is my perfect form. I wanted it to be another career. I was looking for the feelings that I get from this career, from my music business career. And I didn't get it there. And I didn't even want this one. Like, that was the other thing. I was like, I wasn't going to do this. And I found myself back doing both at the end. But here's the thing. Purpose finds you when you're asking spirit, asking the divine to come through you. Now, the last card is Treasure Island. I know Mark is dying to give me some questions. Just a minute. Okay, Treasure Island is this. Now, I want you to see this card. Okay, I'm going to put it up in front of my face. I don't know if you can see this card, but it's a turtle. It's a sea turtle with the treasure on its back. We are made of the universe. The universe is in us. You know how in that Star Wars movie, when the guy runs around going, the force is in me and I am in the force? This is exactly what we're talking about. I am magic. The magic is in me, and the magic is everywhere. And we tune into that, just like Harry Potter, like in all the other, special fables that we love, remind us that it's everywhere. We just can't see it. So Treasure Island reminds us of that too. It's on our backs. We carry it with us. Our connection to the conscious universe. The universe is the one that provides us with everything. And it's learning the universal laws, etc. Now, I know I'm giving you so much right now, and all of this is stuff I teach in Oracle School. And I think at this point too, I should mention, even if you don't want to come to Oracle School, if you do, sign up to the wait list, and we're going to send you mini lessons every week to your inbox. And even if you don't want to come and you think, well, I don't want to go to Oracle School, but maybe you still want the little mini lessons, it's worth it. Why not learn? Why not learn how to create your own reality? Because I want to teach you that. Okay, so Mark, my husband just sent me some. I'm looking at my computer. You noticed I was doing that earlier. Okay, does the deck ever answer a question other than one asked? You're asking such good questions. Yes. Okay, and this again, I go into big detail in Oracle School about this, because Oracle cards are meant to be used as personal development tools and prosperity tools. They are meant to help you create reality. That's the original form of all divination systems that began in the goddess culture. Just throwing that in for extra. So your Oracle cards will always reflect the dominant energy that you bring to the card deck. For example, if you're asking about your career, but you just had a big fight with your husband, the Oracle cards are going to talk about the greatest energy that you're bringing to the card deck, or something that you really need to know, especially if you're saying, tell me what I need to know about my prosperity. But what if what you needed to know about your prosperity was letting go of a relationship that wasn't good for you? What about what you need to know about your prosperity means that you need to make a choice about your health? So you have to, as you get to know Oracle cards, you start, and it does take time, by the way. You're just not going to buy a box and bam. That's why I want you to read the guidebook. So many of you are saying, like, how can I learn how to do the cards without reading the guidebook? Read the guidebook. That's why I wrote it. Read it. And I look it up. I look up stuff all the time to see if there's a word that sticks up for me. So that's answer to Melissa's question. Sorry. It will answer a different question other than what's asked. Yes. And then Michelle says, as someone with anxiety, what steps should I take when pulling cards on an anxious day? You don't pull the cards on an anxious day. You actually do my meditation. Actually, Mark, are we able to send them somewhere for a meditation?
There's tons on our deck.
Tons on our deck.
Said
Okay.
that earlier anyway.
I know I'm repeating myself, but I have menopause. I don't remember half the things. Don't do cards when you're anxious, okay? Because they're going to reflect your anxiety. This is how it works. If you can, actually, I've got a great meditation app you can get for free. And it's called Mindful Magic. How many? I've got like 5 of them out there now, but that's the one. You get it for free. There's 5 meditations on there that will really help you get grounded and detached. You always want to approach your oracle cards detached and grounded. Never, ever angry. Don't go near your cards if you're filled with fear or anxiety, because they'll take you down a rabbit hole. Okay. Is there a difference between scarcity and lack? Aren't these great questions? Lee at Q. Yeah, ha, ha, ha.
Q
Is real. Oh, Q means question. Okay. So, yes. Well, interesting. Yes and no, because let's pretend. So let's pretend we're looking, actually, well, this isn't half full. So imagine this was half full, right? So the person who sees lack will see that, oh, it's half empty. The person who sees abundance, this is perspective, right? Sees, oh, it's half full. But I see always full, because both the lack of something and the abundance of something fill up a hole. It's a whole story. It depends on which one of those 2 stories are you going to feed. So there is a definite distinction between what you will see. Now, let me further that question a little bit too, because I think it was really good. We are programmed it's actually called the reticular activating system of the brain. I know my husband's going to roll his eyes and say, don't go sciencey, it's an oracle card class, but it's true. We're actually designed to look for confirmation. It's called a confirmation bias in our outer world, depending on whatever mindset or state of mind that we are manifesting over time. So if we keep repeating fear, or we keep repeating a sentence to ourselves, or resentment or whatever, we're going to look in the outer world for confirmation that that belief is true. That's just the way it is. Every single human being on the planet is like that. So when it's a decision, so when you wake up in the morning and you feel scarcity, my first thing is put my hand on my heart and say, I may be afraid, but I'm going to say thank you for my breath. And that's where it starts, is just the abracadabra of thank you, which is what I said earlier. Now, where can I buy a good deck of oracle cards, Yvonne? On my website. First, try them out. Go to my Mystical Shaman deck. That's the newest one. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. Go try that out. Go try out the Wisdom of the Oracle, which, as I said earlier, the reason why this is the best deck to buy when you're starting out and you want to separate subjects, and this is the one that I teach with at Oracle School, is because it has a prosperity message written in the book. So when you're asking about specific subjects, this is the one easiest to use. And that's why I suggest that you get this one. Now, I can only speak to my own Oracle card decks, because all of my decks, other than Postcards from Spirit, which I said earlier, are all divination systems, which means they work to speak together, and they will be able to give you good advice. Okay. I have the new Mystical Shaman Oracle deck. Can I use this deck for prosperity as well? You can use any one of my Oracle card decks that are divination systems for prosperity. If you have defined prosperity as being in harmony and in alignment with the highest good, these cards, remember, it's the question that you approach the card deck with, and the sacred quality of the time that you spend with the cards will answer those. That will answer those questions. And as a matter of fact, all of my decks were created to work together, including the new decks that are coming out as well, the Spirit Animal Oracle, the Goddess deck, and the Crystal deck. It's very exciting. Okay. This is Melissa again. When doing a reading for someone else, is it good to have that person touch the cards, cut the deck, or is that just hoodoo voodoo? I love the hoodoo voodoo thing. Okay. You have to make a decision yourself. What feels right to you? Some people don't like anybody touching their cards. I don't mind. So when I was doing readings full time, that's what I did for 30 years. And I don't now, but of course, if somebody was in front of me, I wanted them to touch the deck. I want their energy on the deck. And other times when I've done readings on the phone, they can't touch their cards. I do it. So it really doesn't matter, but it matters the intention with which you begin the reading. And you always need to get their permission before you do a reading. Never do a reading about someone who has not given you permission or who isn't there. So you decide. Where do we sign up for weekly mini lessons? On ColetteBaron-Reid.com/pick. And you'll see a little square. I'm wearing the same shirt. Yes, I have other clothes. It's just my favorite shirt. I know I can't wear it anymore, but whatever. Okay, Selena, why do I feel very uncomfortable when I draw a protection card? I'm going to tell you exactly why. So remember, most people have been taught a fixed system, which is called the tarot. Now, you're going to learn about that next month in May as to what's the difference. So people have it in the back of their heads that an upside down card means it's something bad. So immediately you think, ooh, why is the universe trying to protect me? Something bad's going to happen. Everybody gets scared when they think something bad is going to happen. That's one of the reasons why I call the cards protection cards, and why in the mystical shaman cards, we named it medicine, because we are here to get an extra hug. So you have to ask yourself, what are you afraid of? And in fact, if you are afraid, what does that mean? Does that mean that you don't trust that the universe is there to help you, or that you're not going to get what you want? And likely both are true. And that's also okay. It means you're human. These are the kind of things that we need to unlearn. There are no negative cards in my deck because it's not about negativity. It's about supporting you when you have a challenge presented to you in life. That is why the cards are worded the way they are. Okay. I appreciate your insight. Thank you, Asma. I wanted to know how to avoid giving up my power to these divination systems, especially because I like them so much. That is a really intelligent question. These are great questions, Mark. Aren't they great? I love you guys. This is so great. Okay, so this has no power. These cards are like a telephone. They're like a mirror. So you're seeing yourself in the cards. They're a phone. So in other words, you've ET phone home. You're talking to the universe and the universe is answering you. And they're a map. They show you where you've been, where you are now, and where you're likely going. I don't like to make too far future predictions because I think it's disempowering. I think we have to learn how to create our reality instead of giving our power away to a future prediction. So you have to treat them like they're a sacred thing instead of just picking them up willy-nilly. Make the time. You will not give your power away to the cards or to the divination systems if you take responsibility and accountability for your part in the dialogue with the card deck or the divination systems. You don't ask it. Like oracle abuse is when you overdo it, that's like alcohol abuse, right? So, because people can get addicted to giving their power away. So that's really on you. It's on all of us to say that I'm going to use this information, and then I am the person who is being empowered by this. If you're not empowered by the divination system that you're either using it too often, or you are not taking responsibility and accountability for your part in the dialogue. And so that's one of the reasons why Oracle School was started, because I knew after 40 years of using these things that people still gave their power away. And instead, I wanted to teach everybody how to make this an empowering experience, the opposite. I hope that helped. Okay. Oh, you said Christine Simpson. Oh, girlfriend, this is not true. I saw a post saying you should not purchase oracle cards. They have to be received as a gift. You know, the other caller, that the person who said something about hoodoo voodoo, that's just hoodoo voodoo. Absolutely not. Buy yourself a deck of cards. It's nice to get them as a gift, but totally not. That's the same thing that BS around opals. You're not allowed. It's like superstition. Let's get rid of all the superstition in the world. Why would you not feel the deck yourself? Go to the website, for example, see which one feels right to you. You have to pick it. Somebody gives you something and you open it up and you're like, I actually had somebody give me an oracle card deck, because people send me their decks all the time, the published ones, because I won't open them if they're not published by a publisher. And a lot of times I'm like, I don't get a feel from this, and that's okay. So you have to feel the one, what comes alive for you. You pick your own. And if you get one you're lucky that somebody gave you a good one. Yay. Okay. Valerie says, I've been practicing law of attraction and prosperity consciousness for 15 years, and I still haven't had any tangible results. What am I doing wrong? I bet you any money you're not seeing your tangible results, first and foremost. And the second thing is, what is it? So I don't know what your tangible results are that you are trying to achieve. But if you are practicing the law of attraction, then if you are getting mixed results, then your mindset is mixed. So, that's the first thing that I taught, right? Where's your mindset? You can practice the law of attraction and then the law of, what is it called again? Paradoxical intent will kick in if in fact you're saying no, like, well, I'm not worthy. So I'm going to suggest, just because I can't hear you and I can't hear your voice, so I don't really know the whole point here, but if you still haven't had results, I think you have to take a look at your life and see where you have had results first before you say you haven't had any. Perhaps that thing you think you want hasn't happened yet, but what about the form that spirit has already sent you? And also, what do you really believe? I see a lot of people saying they practice these laws, and yet the paradoxical piece of them not believing that they're really worthy of the things that they want to manifest is a big issue. So you might want to get Nancy Levin's book, Worthy. That might be a good one, because I don't think you're doing anything wrong, because I think we manifest perfectly all the time. You're getting exactly what you're putting out. Should we do a card cleanse when we first get them? Kevin is a man. Hello, Kevin. You can. I'm funny about this. Like I've learned every which way but loose about how to work with oracle cards since my very first tarot deck was given to me, true story, when I was 17 years old, and then I became obsessed with them. So here's the deal: if you feel like you want to clear your cards, like I like blowing into them. That's the action of the shaman. I think you'll see that in the webinar that I did with Alberto Villaldo about how to clear cards. But you might want to do a special cleanse. When I open a card deck, I shuffle them, I spread them out on a table, and I move them around like a big giant circle. I mush them together, and then I do place them under my talking stick. And that's what I do. I have a beautiful handmade talking stick with 2 different crystals on the other end. One is chrysocolla for right relationship to the throat chakra, and the other one is quartz, which is, of course, to magnify, because I don't like to have to guess at things. I like everything to be clear. So I hope that helps you. Kate says, one of my practitioners, highly gifted, quit as my reader and said it was because they want to distance themselves from oracle cards and all spiritual things because, okay, he or she is now a born-again Christian. What is actually happening here? Okay. Don't get me started, girl. Okay, so let me tell you why that is in as succinct as matter as I can, with deep respect for the monotheistic traditions. Okay, let's go back to the Old Testament very first. The God Yahweh was the God of war. At the time when the tribes of Israel came into Canaan, which was all goddess culture, which had existed for 20,000 years, they slaughtered everybody who still connected to the calf, which represented the goddess culture, and the serpent, which represented the goddess culture. They came in and said, you shall have no other gods before me. I'm a jealous God. I'm going to get pissed off, and I'm going to tell everybody to kill everybody. And that's the truth. Go look in the Bible. So people who are now into a faith that, because in one of the books in the Bible, they said divination was outlawed because divination was the way that the goddess culture spoke directly to the goddess and other cultures from then. Because they wanted a temple, because this was politics and economics. And so these people who are born again Christians now just are told that this is bad, evil, whatever, because you're not allowed to have a direct dialogue to the divine. So I have made it my life's work to go back in time and take all of these original systems so that we can have a true conscious dialogue with a higher power that is for the highest good of all, where we do no harm. So that's why it's the religion itself that says you're not allowed, and it's no one's fault. If a person chooses that route, we have to respect that. So if that person, got himself all gobbledy around this, it's because you're not allowed to have an access, and you're only allowed to have that God. And when it comes to Christianity, Jesus and his apostles use divination systems. But we're getting, anyway, I think I've made my point. Anyway, so I think I made my point. Okay. Should you clean your oracle cards? Yep. I like smudging them. Yep. If I resonate more with the protection essence of an upright card, which meaning should I go with? Amy, I think when you're first starting to get to know oracle cards, I like both. I think if you resonate with the protection message, then that's the one you read, because it's the thing that speaks to you. Oracle cards are not a precise science. They open us up to the numinous, the soft focus, the intelligent universe that speaks to us through metaphors and symbols and the odd word, and that represents the tip of the iceberg. So yes, go with what you resonate with and you'll see. Okay. If you can't do a reading for someone who isn't there, is it okay to do a reading on your time for someone that permitted it? Yes. And then give them the information when you can. Absolutely. Yes. Erin, that's a good question, because when I used to do readings professionally, sometimes I would do email readings. So somebody would write their question to me, and then I would download the email a few days later when I had time and send it to them. As long as the person has given you permission to do this for them, why not? Okay. It's my birthday. Maria, my biggest thing is fear. You are not alone. It freezes me to the spot, and I find it hard to hear the messages. Could you possibly pull a card for me, as I fear I'm not hearing the message for myself? So no, I'm not going to pull a card for you directly, but I'm going to pull a card about fear. All right, so that everybody can learn. So I'm going to pull one card from Wisdom of the Oracle to help us. How do all of us deal with fear when fear comes up? Because fear is false evidence appearing real. And it's a way, just like how we were talking about organized religion, can cause you to feel afraid that somehow, something not positive is happening to you, right? And yeah, to the sea. So to the sea is about flow. So the card to the sea represents being able to be like water, to go with the flow of life. When we're afraid, it's because we're trying to control things. So that's we wouldn't say the opposite, but the protection card is like, you can't control things. Also, when life has sent you topsy-turvy conditions, it's normal for us to expect them again. So I think for you, and actually, I'm going to just say to you too, the tapping solution is really, really great for anxiety. So, and again, your fear is, always remember, step back, get on your bird, do a meditation, then meditate on the message of the card. So give yourself a little bit more time and dial down your fear. But again, like I said, there's some great techniques to dial down anxiety, and I suggest the tapping solution as one of them. How do you shuffle the cards to get protection cards? Okay, so I'm going to kind of show you guys. See this? So if you went on a table, because you can't see the table, if I went in a big circle like that, some of the cards would automatically go upside down and some of them would be turned upright. So you just want to mush them all together the first time you get them on a table so that you have a mix of the cards. And then just, don't ever be afraid to bend your cards. Like I shuffle them like a poker player, and then you switch them around, and you just always ask for the highest good. Okay. Lauren says, first, Francis, what if a card doesn't give an answer that makes sense or seems clear enough? Okay, good. So then you choose a second card. So I believe in the simplest way. I think when I first teach people how to use oracle cards, even professionals, I used to do 21 card spreads all the time. And I realized that I could get way more of a story if I focused on 2 or 3. So what you want to do, if you really don't know what's up, you choose a card that will inform. It's an information card. So give me more information. So I chose new life. So what is the new information? So this is actually good because it says, what if a card doesn't give an answer that makes sense or seems clear enough? So new life represents that which you don't know. So see the fairy that's coming out of the egg, she doesn't know how to fly yet. She's coming out of an egg too. Like who comes out of eggs? So I think it's the beginning in beginner's mind. I think that's the other way to help when a card doesn't give you an answer that makes sense. I always say, go to blank mind, go to beginner mind and say, if this were saying something to me other than an answer to my question, what would it be telling me as a story? Many times you're going to find that card makes sense later in the day. or the next day. And I like you to file that. So that's what I do, because I do these for myself too. And I do them daily, just about what is the energy that I need to know about today in order to serve the highest good. Because I asked how to serve you guys today too. Okay. They're really good questions, huh, Mark? How can I use the Oracle cards to discover my purpose in life? How you use the Oracle cards to discover your purpose in life is using them to help you move yourself aside. The stories that you tell yourself that you're attached to, or like your resentments or any of the kind of shadow stuff that you carry along with you, it's about healing that, and your purpose finds you. It really does. It's like literally, I tell your purpose is like beside you going, hello, hello, hello. And sometimes your purpose is to just be in nothing, and to be in the flow of life and see it as it is, and welcome every single second in front of us as given to you by the conscious universe as a gift. Okay, here we go. Thoughts on how to achieve, relieve action-oriented goal set ambitions so I can follow my highest path. Nicole, you had a great question here. So not proud of this, feeling underappraised at my job, and finances aren't where I wanted them. Right off the bat, that question alone means that you're judging yourself. As soon as you said, I'm not proud of this, but I'm feeling this, honey, you need to give yourself a big hug. The first step is to get yourself in complete and absolute worthiness and feeling like, oh, wow, isn't this great to know that this isn't where I want to be? I'm here. I've gone as far as I can here. I'm going to bless this experience because I am going to claim something better. And however long it takes, I'm just going to keep blessing what is here and being open to what I intend. It's that open-hearted living. Had a great guest on my radio show, Matt Kahn, and he talked about everything. Everything is spirit. Everything is the universe. Everything. So remember that even that where you are right now, this is beautiful. Bless it and say, ooh, I've gone as far as I can go here. This is an excellent time for me to claim something different. And then you rehearse it. I said that earlier in the webinar. Yvonne asks, how often should I use the cards? So I use them every day. The best way to learn how to use Oracle cards is to choose one card a day and see how it applies to your life on a daily basis. And once you get the hang of that too, you're going to really get that there's so much more. And that's the tip of the iceberg. And in Oracle school, we actually go into the iceberg. We don't stay at the tip, but you'd be shocked at what one card a day can actually open up for you in your psyche to help you track and navigate your co-creative world, the world that you are creating in partnership with the universe. What is the proper question to ask the deck to find my spirit animal? You can't ask this deck to find your spirit animal. My spirit animal deck is coming out in October, and you can find your spirit animal in my Oracle card deck. But we're going to have it on this. I think next month, I think we'll have it up for you guys to start trying it. So I'd wait a month, but I don't know how to tell you how to ask these cards for that. Okay, Teresa, I broke up with someone 4 months ago. I still get cards about him as though he is still in my life, and the universe wants me to leave the situation. Any insights? I have no contact with him. Honey, he's living in your head rent-free. If your cards are still talking about him, then you're thinking about him. And you may also have not worked it through yet. And so the lesson, maybe like the guy is the symptom, the lesson is the core. So your question should be, and I'm going to, this is for everybody who this has happened to, because it happens to everybody. I'm going to ask one card. I'm going to say one card. What can we tell you about this? And it says between worlds. So between worlds is the gray area is where you just left about the relationship and you're not yet in the new. So in between worlds is when you have to start looking at the liminal space between being and becoming. Is what did I need to learn from this relationship in order for me to move forward? That's probably why your cards are still talking about him. Roberta, you got reprimanded by a medium at Lilydale for shuffling cards like poker cards. Well, what can I say? Some people have their own way of doing things and they think that there's wrong ways, and that's too bad because I've been doing this 40 years. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're doing whatever it takes to move the energy in the cards. And that's what you chose. You tell that medium that Colette Baron-Reid said, your way is also good. Okay. I use several decks in a reading and not always from the same person author. What are your thoughts? So that's up to you. If you feel a real beautiful connection to the decks by different authors, you can use them. My decks are made to speak to each other because I'm the same author, and the same consciousness and intention went into the decks. So it's like I'm giving birth to these different personalities that work together. So that's why I know you can use mine together as a system. And actually in Oracle School, in the second part of Oracle School, we teach people how to create a council of decks. So, but if you do feel comfortable with that, that's great. They just don't always talk well together if the cards are made by different authors. But if it works for you, great. I always say, go with what works. Okay, what if the card suggests something that the person isn't ready to accept? How should we convey the message when we know they might get offended? Hi, Jas Kiran. Okay, so we're assuming now that we're talking about doing a reading for someone else in a professional setting. There's an ethical consideration, and this is, for you pros out there or for people who want to do readings for other people. In my school, we do shared wisdom. In other words, there's a equal quality in the conversation people have with each other. It's a very, very different, elevated experience doing readings. What you're talking about is what's called a passive reading. So the person is passive and you're giving them information. So if you feel that the information is going to offend them, I would suggest you say, hey, I might be wrong about this. But I'm getting a sense that this could be where this direction is headed. And remember, you can always course correct. So you give that person the opportunity. Listen, I've done over 50,000 individual readings for people, and I've coached like hundreds of high level execs and VIPs. And I can tell you that you will at some point, if you are going to do this with other people, you're going to bump up against somebody's will and they don't want to hear what you have to say. But you always need to be kind, compassionate, and do no harm. Be careful how you speak to people. Especially in a passive reading, when a person assumes you have more power than them because you have a sight or you have the cards, which also kind of, it's a power imbalance. Not to say that's wrong. I made my living that way for a long time. It's just not what I teach right now. Okay. That helped. I've had an oracle reading where all my cards were in protection. So did I today. Fantastic is what my thoughts are on that. I love it when I get 3 protection cards. And I had that today when I was preparing for your webinar. And actually, the last card was happy, happy in reverse, which is to remind me to be goofy because I know I get really serious when I teach. So it was like, don't take yourself so seriously. All 3 cards were in protection that were exactly what I needed to hear, which is to allow for a new way of presenting itself, which was actually from the Q&A, which is what we did. So I loved it. It really helped me focus in on, letting, not pre-assuming that what you guys are going to ask me are going to be things I expect. So it's like expect the unexpected. So they're great. Protection cards are your best friends. Eventually you'll figure that one out. Okay, I'm not going to do that one. Are we out of time? Is it an hour yet?
Oh, it's over an hour.
Oh, it's over an hour. Okay. I promised I wouldn't go over an hour because people lose. Okay. How am I watching a webinar yet we don't hear or see your dog? Because my dog's not in the room, Drew. I love that. Hey, Drew. No, my dogs are not allowed. I'm doing this now. The webinars are now done in my husband's office because the dogs get so crazy. They're actually in the house in my office. That's why. Yep, Liat, you can pull a card a day from more than one deck if you want, but I wouldn't pull more than 2. I'm going to do one last reading. If you get a jumping card, do you still pull out the card of the day or go by the jumping card? Okay, so you guys need to know what a jumper is. A jumper is when the card just goes beep and comes out of the deck. And that's usually the one I say, if it comes to the door, if it falls on the floor, it comes to the door. And truth be told is the card that I just got for what do you do about a jumper card? They always tell you the truth. Remember, you're only using oracle cards to tell you a deeper truth so that you stay in alignment with your highest good, you achieve the prosperity, you intend in the best way possible, and that you imagine how your prosperity is going to help others, and you become this incredibly conscious creator, always in tune. And I'm going to tell you something, magic is all the time, everywhere when you do this. So now let's wrap up. So next month, I want you guys to come, even if you're pros, May 13th, which is a Sunday again, for the Essential 101 class on Oracle cards. I could tell a lot of you guys don't know 100%. I think you really need to understand the difference between Oracle cards and tarot cards, why one system is fluid, the other one's rigid, and really why you use Oracle cards and the basics, so that if ever anybody asks you, you'll know exactly what to say to them and to yourself. Okay. Now, if you are, as I'm going to repeat this again, if you're interested in joining the waitlist for Oracle School, I'm going to read this. Jump over to ColetteBaron-Reid.com/pick. And on the right, you're going to see a little box with me in the same shirt holding some ball of light. So sign up there. And even if you don't want to come to Oracle School and you want to learn more about this, just sign up anyway. Why? Because we're going to send you a mini lesson every week. Why would you sign an exact? Thank you, honey. This is why I need him here, because I will forget. Okay, so you're going to get a mini weekly lesson in your inbox. So that's it. Join the wait list. Go pick some cards. Go feel out my decks. Mystical Shaman is a #1 best-selling right now. We're so grateful for all the phenomenal support on Amazon. But you guys, this is your deck. Not that I don't love my Mystical Shaman deck, but do yourselves a favor. If you haven't got a deck yet and you're really thinking about getting a deck, Wisdom of the Oracle deck is your go-to deck for anything that relates to Oracle cards, prosperity, even relationships, when you need protection, what the essence is. Like, this is my most extensive Oracle deck to date.
Where can they buy that?
Where can they buy that? You can buy that on my website.
Or at Amazon.
Or at Amazon. And I think on the website, aren't they like all kinds of So you have a choice. You can get them anywhere. Thank you. And it comes in a beautiful app on iTunes, and they have it for Android too. I know that the other decks only go on iPhones, but this one has Android also on Google Play. So Wisdom of the Oracle, and it works just as well. And for those of you who haven't seen the Mystical Shaman deck yet, here they are. Look at this, amazing cards. Yay. All right. Thank you so much. What? That's it. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I went over the hour. I'm trying to keep them shorter, but next month, be here. You are going to get lots of juicy information, and I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and I hope that it was educational. The questions are always the key when I teach. Thanks. Bye.